Is it because it's ugly as sin? Okay, maybe you guys have a point on that one.
Hello everybody, welcome back to Thorgi's Top 100 Fighting Games. I believe today we are starting from number 49, working our way down. It also looks like Thorgi has a lot more to say about some of these higher picks, so be interesting to see what places
His
where.
favorite games he has more to say about?
Impossible! If for some reason you haven't already, go support this man. Link top of the description, like always.
So with that in mind, at number 49, which I would like to remind everyone is still very good, Street Fighter 3 Third Strike. Yes, this game is considered by many people to be the greatest fighting game
of all time. Third Strike is still played at EVO. Many people compete specifically in Third Strike too. There's just something about this game, and I guess we'll see some gameplay here in a little bit, but some of the artwork and the sprite work that they've done for the characters is phenomenal. A lot of people will think that Street Fighter's never looked this good. Or, like, ever again. Ever since Street Fighter Third Strike. Based on what I've heard.
Damn.
Of all time, and I can totally see why. We went into it in our Street Fighter retrospective. I don't need to lay it all out for you guys again, but if you say that this is the best fighting game of all time, yeah, there is totally an argument to be made for that. But when this game came out, I was playing about a dozen other games at the time, and I wasn't exactly a fan of the original Street Fighter 3, so I skipped this game for years. I never even touched this thing until after Street Fighter 4 came out. But even when
The biggest memory I have of Street Fighter Third Strike is when I was watching EVO, and the dude who mains Hugo here, the big guy in this particular gameplay screenshot here, Hugo, I learned, wasn't a particularly good character because he's big, he's slow, he has moves that even when he hits you, he loses for some reason. But you know, the other guy, I forget his name, but he mains specifically Hugo, and he was having fun at the tournament. He was like doing splits and stuff on stage. It was great. But then he absolutely clutched a match against a veteran player by using one of Hugo's worst moves in order to jump over the other dude who tried to hit him with a super, and then he grabbed him to win the match, which was incredible. The feeling of being there, well, watching it live, I guess, and seeing that happen was nutty. The bro just made like EVO history with that one move. It was great.
This game for years. I never even touched this thing until after Street Fighter 4 came out. But even when I did finally get into it, I quickly realized, oh, this is a game that I'm only going to really enjoy if I spend a metric ton of time trying to learn it. There are some games out there that are easy to learn but impossible to master. This game is just impossible to master. However, even with all that being said, this game still feels really good. The mobility in this game is great. Moving back and forth as you and your opponent read each other and making those quick decisions is something that this game excels at. And when you do land those last-minute parries, it's one of the best feelings in any fighting game ever. Plus, even though I never really put a ton of time into this game, you don't have to play a game to like it. You can just enjoy watching it. And even though this is coming in at the halfway point on this list, Third Strike is easily one of the best fighting games to watch. When you watch high-level Third Strike footage, you can see the personality of the players in every single movement.
God, this is the actual match I just mentioned.
Every single decision, and you know that you are about to witness something that you have never seen before. Unless, of course, you're watching a match with Chun-Li, Ken, or Yoon. Yeah, this game is also pretty unbalanced, I have to admit that. Number 48, Skullgirls.
Oh, nice. But I do have to mention that I guess the reason why I was paying a lot more attention to the Hugo player was because literally everybody was either playing like Yoon or Chun-Li or Ken. They're like the three top tier characters or whatever. And then you have this one guy who actually made it all the way to the finals playing Hugo, one of the worst characters in the game.
Skullgirls is a testament to the imagination and dedication of indie developers everywhere, that they can build something like this that can stand shoulder to shoulder with any big release. It's got stunning
amazing,
great memorable characters, with tons of alternate colors that are shockingly fun. Like seriously, this is one of the only games where I actually care about alternate colors. The single player mode is so impressive. The amount of story and detail that they put into these arcade ladders puts other fighting games to shame. This is what all fighting game arcade ladders should look like. and the combat feels like a love letter to competitive fighters of the early 2000s. These devs wanted another Marvel vs. Capcom and CVS so bad, they decided to do it themselves. That being said, damn, this game is tough. Like, I love this game casually, it's very fun to do some very basic combos, but every time that I try to learn anything beyond those basic combos, I realize, oh damn, I do not have the finger speed for this game, which is probably the big reason why it's not any higher on my list. But still, amazing game, and the fighting game world is a better place because this game exists. Number 47, Super Smash Bros. Melee. Man, this is really the high-stakes competitive block, isn't it? My last 3 games all look like everybody else's top 10 list. Just like with Third Strike, Melee is considered to be the peak of its respective franchise. It has the strongest competitive scene, and I understand why. The speed and mobility in this game is
people
broken.
still compete in today.
No, literally.
People like Melee
broken.
a lot.
The game is not supposed to work this way, but players found ways to just wreck it. But in all honesty, I've often said the reason why older fighting games are so beloved is because they were broken. Because players got to go nuts with them in a way the developers did not intend. But again, this is my personal list, and yeah, I don't really care about the competitive scene of Melee, or how fast you can wave dash, or how nuts Fox is. Yeah, that stuff just really isn't important to me. No, what I love about this game was never the combat. It's the same thing that I love about the original Smash Bros. It took the crossover element of the first game and went even further with it. A bigger, better roster.
It's hard not to just have fun with Smash Bros. Like, it's great.
The concept for it in and of itself is already amazing, and the execution for it so far has been really damn good. And we've had some fumbles all the way, but, you know.
Sakurai and his team love games, right? And so they care so much about the implementation of all these different characters, and there's so much like respect in them. And like, even though they've always said like it's a party game first, and that's definitely true, but their movesets, their mechanics, like everything is so thought out.
I was actually talking about that specifically when I was learning about King K. Rool's adaptation into Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. And it's always fascinating to me when developers have to figure out, how do we translate this character that has never been in a fighting game before into a fighting game, but still keep their identity, right? The thing that people love about that character, how do we translate it? And I think, well, I don't know for every single scenario, but at least when it came to King K. Rool, they knocked it out of the park. They made some minor changes to his character, but it still very much is King K. Rool, and in some ways even like an enhanced version of him. Something that the fans always imagined him to be, you know? So, yeah, I do agree. They do very much seem like people who love making video games, which you would expect people who make video games would, you know, love that. But with the modern gaming industry being the way that it is, unfortunately, we can't really say that confidently anymore.
I think, unfortunately, and this is someone who, this was going to be my career, and then I decided to change my mind.
Yeah.
Because you're either stuck in an indie scene where your future and stability is uncertain, which is what happened to me, or you're stuck in that kind of AAA big studio scene, which you're very much just a cog in the machine. So it's really hard to invest yourself into that, even if you truly love making games and truly love that whatever you're working on. You're just one small piece that has barely any say in anything for like 99% of people working on it, which is why most game developers that I knew when I was working in games, if they worked at a big studio like Microsoft, like Nintendo, like any of those really big studios, they had their own project that they were working on in their free time as their passion project, because they love games, but their job wasn't the outlet that they wanted it to be, because that wasn't their passion. Their passion was what they're making in their side project.
Now think about it. Wasn't that how Minecraft was created?
I would believe it. I
Pretty sure that it was like a side project. And then when his manager or whatever saw what he was working on, he was like, yeah, we're going to let you go because you're already making your own company now at this point with your own game.
Yeah, a lot of indie games have roots in that. That's why I'm always wanting to celebrate indie successes, even if it's something stupid. You know, like the repos, the peaks, the whatever it is that's popular in this current era of, trend cycles.
Yeah.
Whenever it's a small studio that's getting a spotlight, I don't really care if it's a game I'm interested or not. I'm happy for their success because that's not common. And so many indie studios just never are able to make ends meet, and it just becomes just a drop in the ocean, right?
Yeah. At the end of the day, it's all just a metaphor for capitalism.
Yeah.
Huge leap in graphics and so much more single-player content. This was the game that introduced trophies to Smash Bros, and I was addicted to collecting those. Smash Bros was an incredible idea, but this was the game where it all started to come together and they figured out what made it so special. Number 46,
Nice.
Fatal Fury, the Real Bout era. This is another one where I'm throwing multiple entries into a single spot. I'm counting Real Bout Special, and Real Bout 2 in here. Do they all play the same? No. I mean, they're similar, but the reason I'm lumping them all together is because when I think about what I love about Fatal Fury, I think about the Real Bout games. I played the original Fatal Fury trilogy at the arcade when I was a kid. I liked them. Like I said, by the time they got to Fatal Fury 3, they started to figure out what this franchise should be. Then the Real Bout games came along and they looked at Fatal Fury 3 and all the lessons they learned from that, and they leaned into it. The look, the art style, the ring outs, and how insanely charming those were, and the gameplay was so much better. Even if I was never the biggest fan of the lane system, the Real Bout games were the ones that actually made it work for me. And the finale to Geese and Terry's story in the first game, the new characters they add to the second one, and by the second one I mean the third one, this to me is exactly what I love about Fatal Fury. Every decision they made with the Real Bout games was the correct one. Number 45, Bloody Roar 2. I already talked about why I love the first Bloody Roar. You got to turn into a big animal monster. How was a kid not supposed to like that?
Of course,
When
yeah.
I look back at the actual combat, it was rough. As was to be expected of any game made by a brand new team trying something completely different. But with Bloody Roar 2, my god, the leap in quality is insane. I can't do anything really impressive in this game, but I love watching people who do know what they're doing in this game.
These models are so funny. I love
The
Yeah,
combo
it is.
potential is wild. And like with many great franchises,
into a
it took
blue
until the
beetle?
second installment for them to get the tone of this series.
Look like it.
This is when Bloody Roar realized what Bloody Roar was. The darker, more edgy, aggressive 90s attitude of this franchise really blew up with this game, and hey, what can I say? At the time, it worked. Plus, all the new characters were really good additions. The way they incorporated the story into the arcade modes is exactly what I want more fighting games to do. When it comes to what people love about Bloody Roar, it was all established here. Number 4.
I just love it when a game leans into itself and is like, yeah, we're just going to be unapologetically awesome. Deal with it.
My picture perfect example of like the perfect sequel that just takes everything about the first game that was great and makes it better is Portal to Portal 2. Seeing everything that people loved about the first Portal and just giving more. That's what people want. You take the thing that people liked and give them more of the things that they liked.
It feels like such a simple concept, but yeah. Yeah. Sometimes we don't
So
really
many
get
people
that.
miss the mark.
44, Galro, Mark of the Wolves. It was
Yeah.
so hard choosing between this and the Real Bout games. They were neck and neck. Then Bloody Roar 2 came along and split them up, but still, it was a very tough choice. And I'll admit, I like the art style and the tone of the Real Bout games so much more. But yeah, I can't deny this game just feels way better to play. Everyone compares this to Third Strike, and while I can see the similarities, this is so much easier to just pick up and play. So much easier to learn. This is some of the best 2D combat from this era with really impressive sprite work. Also, it gave us Rock Howard, one of the
Push me
coolest
butt.
fighting game protagonists ever. Granted, he is super low tier in this game, but that's never stopped me from liking a character before. Wish I had more to say about this game, but honestly, it's just a really solid fighter. Not much more needs to be said. Number 43, Dengeki Bunko Fighting Climax Ignition.
Oh
And
my
the winner
goodness.
of the game I love to say the name of the most, Dengeki Bunko Fighting Climax Ignition is a crossover
Asuna.
game between various light novels from Dengeki Bunko.
Oh,
And prepare to
Railgun.
be shocked, I don't know anything about that at all.
The first
But
one
what
was
I do
Shogun
know
Shana,
is
wasn't it?
this game was made
I
by
think so.
First Spread, and
Yeah. We got your Toradora?
I freaking love French bread games. I already praised them with the Melty Blood titles, but these guys know how to.
Wait, wasn't that the Demon Lord dude?
From the Devil's Apart?
Yeah, Devil's Apart timer.
What? I've never seen this before.
Well, wow. Okay. This is basically that other anime game, except we recognize more of the characters.
Yeah.
Oh, also, apparently there were comments about that. So they were under the same publishing company, something like that, and that's why they all kind of got rounded up into that one game.
That makes sense.
Wait a minute.
It's like J-Stars is all Jump titles.
I was just looking at the background. That's Valkyria Chronicles. We played that here on this channel. What?
I have not seen that one, but I've heard you like that one.
I love that one. It has such unique gameplay. It's like a 3D sort of game where you control your characters individually. They have a set amount of movement they can do per turn.
Okay.
And yeah, you can fire a gun, you can fire tanks, you can throw grenades and stuff like that. It's like if you played XCOM, but from a third-person perspective and individually controlling each character. It's so unique. Okay. I can't even think of any other game that plays like that, but yeah. I recognize it instantly because the tanks have these giant, like, blue radiators on the back that are the weak spot. Yeah. What was it doing here? Do we have Valkyria Chronicles characters in this fighting game?
Make mobility feel good, and they did in spades in this game. I picked this game up simply because I thought the art style looked neat.
What the heck is Taiga going to do against 90% of these people?
Taiga has her tsundere powers, okay? That being said, fighting against Railgun...
I see Salty, I see Accelerator, I see...
oh, wait, yeah, he is here. Accelerator, what are you doing, bro?
I recognized a couple of the Sega characters that they shoved in there, but it didn't take me long to realize, oh, this game has got the sauce. It is so fast. Combos connect like a dream, and the assist make this a game with so much variety. This, yeah. It is also super unbalanced. If you watch high-level footage of this game, you...
Okay, this is made by French Bread. Like, balance and French Bread, I don't really think go together. At least from what I've heard of the games that they made. There may be some exceptions, because I think they made, like, well, Melty Blood as well as... did they make Under Night and Birth? I don't know. I'm getting all my doubts mixed up. But yeah, that's what I've heard.
I don't know.
We're going to see the exact same characters getting used over and over again.
Oh my god! Do my eyes deceive me? Did you just turn Railgun into a basketball?
Again. But as I...
Oh wait, I just saw that. Was that
There's what's her name from XL World.
Oh yeah. But the top right here, is that supposed to be Hollow from Spice and Wolf? I don't know, you can just see her eyes. It looks somewhat similar to that art style.
Maybe?
Maybe. And I think the girl on the portrait below Railgun, that's the biker chick, right?
That's Celty, yeah.
Yeah, okay, that's her name. I never actually watched the show, but I do recognize her.
You should. Is really good.
Gotcha. I have to put that on my list. My very long list of backlog.
But as I have made it clear many times, I don't really care how good a game is competitively. I care about how fun it is casually. And this game is crazy fun. Number 42, Neo Geo Battle Coliseum. Another contender for the this game doesn't get nearly enough recognition category. Is there something that the FGC hates about this game that I don't know about? Is it because it's ugly as sin? Okay, maybe you guys have a point on that one. If you're the Xbox version, it's probably because it's a big SNK crossover, and I'm sure a lot of people hear that and go, yeah, that's just King of Fighters. But I assure you, it's not. It's built as a tag fire with completely unique mechanics. And yeah, King of Fighters is an SNK crossover, but that's how it started. It very quickly turned into its own thing. And even when it was a crossover, there were certain parts of the SNK world that they still weren't willing to touch. This game is a 100% grade A SNK crossover. They got everything in here. Metal Slug, World Heroes, Sam Show, King of the Monsters, everybody got in. And they do so much with the crossover elements. Certain characters gain specific supers together or secret fights against the final bosses of multiple different SNK franchises. Like I said, the fact that this thing isn't played more makes me think there's gotta be something that the FGC doesn't like about this game. But if you're just an SNK fan, this is the crossover that company deserves. Number 41, Blast Blade 2. As I brought up several times, I didn't touch hardly any SNK games outside of Fatal Fury and a little Sam Show when I was a kid, so I discovered Last Blade late in life. Shout out to the Super Couch Fires episode of Run It Back for introducing me to it. And this is another one of those games where the moment that I put my hands on, it just felt special. It had elements of Sam Show, the weapon-based fighting, the parry mechanic, but was much quicker and more aggressive. It had...
I mean, it's SNK. Back in the day, their pixel work was kind of top tier. Yeah.
Yeah.
Variety in the supers that let you focus on speed or power. Every character felt so different from each other. The art style of the game is great. I love that SNK already had a feudal Japan era sword fighting game, and they still found a way to make another one that was completely its own thing.
Really? Because I was about to ask that. I recognize Hibiki from Sam Show, actually. So was she just like a DLC character or a crossover character? Does the Sam Show lore have any sort of connection to the Last Blade lore here? Not sure. You guys can let me know in the comments. But I mean, I guess we'll learn about it at some point anyways. We do plan to get into Sam Show.
And even though this game moves so much quicker than Samurai Showdown, it's still got that same level of tension that I really enjoyed in those games. It has that great back and forth in combat that makes you nervous about what your opponent could do next. Listen, I started playing this game like 20 years after it came out, and almost every other fighting game that I played that's that old, I just play for fun. I just play because it's nice to hit buttons. Last Blade 2 is one of the few old fighting games that I played and I said, oh, I actually want to learn this. I don't want to just hit buttons, I actually want to know what I'm doing in this game. Number 40.
Guilty Gear? Yeah! Look at him walk.
Yes.
Guilty Gear Xrd Rev. I have been all over the place on this list with this game. Pretty much every game on here has gone up and down a handful of times, but none more than this. And the reason why is because this game is great. Nobody is going to argue that it isn't. I mean, hell, it's in the top 50 on this list. You know I think it's great. Incredibly fast gameplay, combos connect together so well, gorgeous graphics that we didn't think were possible, instant kills that will never be topped in any game. Seriously, these are some of the best super moves ever. And I freaking love this roster. This might be the best
for a long time for me for 3D anime looks, like styles.
From my understanding, when this game came out, it kind of blew everything else within the same genre just straight out of the water with the way they implemented the whole 2D and 3D aspects and mixed them together to make this unique look.
I could nerd out for quite a while on Guilty Gear Xrd Shader. They basically did a lot of R&D because toon shaders previously were not good. They still aren't good, but for a lot of reasons. Because basically how the outline was done with video games for that toon shader was they would make a copy of the geometry. So they would take a second model, inflate it, and invert the normals. So that you were seeing that black outline of the second larger model. And that's how that outline was made. Now, there's a couple of problems with that. I'm sure you've looked at a lot of 3D toon shaders in games, and there are points when you look at the outline and it just looks jank, and that's why. It's also really expensive because you literally have 2 copies of the model, so you're doubling your poly count. But it's the easiest way to do it. In Guilty Gear, the team at ArcSys went basically, we didn't want to do that. It looks bad, and it just is more expensive, right?
Yeah.
They wanted more control over how both the outline and the shadows and everything falls. So they have their outline done explicitly through the UV maps, and they move the UV map to create that outline, which is fascinating, and I don't have nearly enough time to break down exactly how they do that. But then they have masks specifically for their shadows. It's a fascinating shader, and nothing had been done like it prior. And you still see people use the original, like, the double the geometry style toon shader because it's easier and people just can't do it to the same quality that ArcSys can do shit like this.
Understandable, considering the amount of work that is having to be put into each and every single individual model and their moves in order to be put into the game. You're really just like doubling, tripling your work. These models are so customized down to like the minute detail with how they're rigged and what they can actually do to deform them and other things. Because they also have smear frames in 3D, which is insane.
and so many other crazy things that they do with these models. But yeah, no, their shader was literally gold standard for me for a long time. It still is up there as like among the best.
I have heard talk of the reason why Marvel Tokon maybe doesn't look as good as some of like the Xrd or the Guilty Gear Strive models is because they want a wider roster with faster release time for characters, so they're lessening on the minute details. Would you say could be a reason there, or is there just an artistic choice?
Yeah, 100%. Well, like I said, the way this shader works is they're literally editing the UV map as they're like animating it. So yeah, all these maps, all these things are custom made per character to like an incredible amount of detail. So yeah, 1000%. If they were trying to speed up production, they would lessen that.
Super moves ever. And I freaking love this roster. This might be the best roster in any Guilty Gear. But more importantly, the whole Xrd series represents something important. I loved Guilty Gear, and I thought this series was dead. It had been gone for so long. So when Xrd Sign was announced, I lost my mind. I felt like a golden era of fighting games was finally back.
Oh yeah, that's right. Oh shit. What a boss screen. But yeah, I was thinking back on the history of Arxis. That's right. I believe they straight up lost Guilty Gear, the rights to Guilty Gear at some point. And so BlazBlue had to be the front runner for the company for a while.
But yeah, I actually didn't play a ton of this game. Don't get me wrong, I played it enough that I feel confident in putting it on this list. It's not like I picked it up once and said, yeah, that's it, I get the gist of it. No, I've definitely put some hours into it, but not nearly as many as I have with the games that are higher on this list. I don't know, I think when the first version of this game, Xrd Sign, came out, I just thought was okay. So when Xrd Rev came out, I didn't even check it out until years later. And at that point, I did really enjoy what I was playing, but the online scene was pretty much dead.
That release style and why they don't do it anymore, because no one really wants to rebuy a game they already have. And if there's not enough to justify it, they're not going to buy it.
That's probably also part of the reason why a lot of the content updates nowadays have been moved into seasons, battle passes, DLC, because it's more realistic for both the developers as well as the consumer, rather than buying a completely like new, fully priced game that's just slightly different.
That point, and there were only so many times that I could go through that arcade mode. So yeah, it's a great game. I just kind of missed the window to get into it any deeper. Number 39, Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3. Already told you all I grew up loving Mortal Kombat, and this was the height of that early arcade era MK games. It essentially just said, hey, what do you like about Mortal Kombat? Let's throw all of that in here. So many characters, so many stages, quicker, more aggressive combat. The finishing moves were bigger and crazier than ever. There was this insane sense of humor to it that helped to establish the tone of this era of games. The characters were so bright and colorful and had designs that instantly stuck in your mind. I was obsessed with this game when I was a kid. I have very vivid memories of carrying a magazine around with me that had all the moves in there, and I kept that in my book bag at all times, just in case I found an Ultimate MK machine somewhere. I even took that magazine on vacations with me, which paid off.
You know, that was one of the charms of gaming back in the day, where they had the guides that came with the game, and some of them were like incredibly high effort too.
I had one similar but different. I had a Pokedex, like a book that had all the Pokemon in it for up to, I want to say Gen 4. And as a kid, I had that. I took it with me everywhere, and I used it so much. I had it bookmarked. The front cover eventually like ripped off from use too much. I still have it somewhere, but that thing has been. It was worn to hell and back. I put the work through that thing.
Big time, because I do remember finding random arcades at the beach when I was a kid that had this game in there, and I would pull that magazine out like it was a survival guide in the woods. It's a weird memory, but it just reminds me of how much I used to love this game. Don't get me wrong, I like a lot of the modern MK games too, but there is a big part of me that really misses this era. Number 38, BlazBlue Cross Tag Battle. Another game to file away under everyone hates it, but I don't care, it's my list and I like it. BlazBlue Cross Tag Battle hits a lot of notes for me. The mechanics are a lot to deal with, I will admit that. I've heard many people say this game is too chaotic, and you know what, they might have a point. But once I got used to it, it felt like a completely new original thing that was aggressive and fast in the exact way that I like.
What I will say is, when I was playing against some of you guys who were like much, much better at the game, yeah, I could see that. It's so chaotic that there's so many things happening on the same time. But, you know, when it was just me and Kane playing, kind of playing at a similar level, doing some simple things here and there, the game was actually really fun. It's also super easy to get into, considering you have all the like auto combos and much easier inputs to do. So as a casual fighter game, yeah, awesome. I have also seen Evo matches of this, which are really fun to watch too. And also, don't worry, we will someday return to BB Tag. We decided not to check out the 2.0 story, the single player story, because, well, we're going to be playing Persona 3 Reload, and the 2.0 story will spoil some things from Persona 3. So once we finish that, we'll get back to it. Love this game, though. Enjoy the art style.
This thing got its claws into me, and I was all over it for months. Even got the Platinum trophy in it. And I will fully admit, the online in this game is not good. The connections are not stable, the lobbies weren't all that great.
Okay. This was the first game Kate and I ever played where we experienced desyncing, and we both were sent into different timelines. Where I'd say, like, I won the match, and then Kate would say, like, no, I won the match. And then we were both right, and then we'd both get a win on our profile card. So, yeah. That happened quite often.
Beautiful.
I don't even remember if it had a proper ranked match mode. But I'm bringing that up because even with that bad online, I was still playing this thing every single day for a very extended period of time. But also, I just love what a weird concept this is. It's a crossover game that crosses over whatever they could get their hands on.
Yeah.
BlazBlue, Under Night, Persona, Ruby, and then a ton of random titles in the DLC. This is as close as we're ever going to get to an officially licensed Mugen, and that's a concept I want to happen. Honestly, this whole thing just feels like a big bag of candy turned into a fighting game. Like everyone at Arc System Works just got a sugar rush and said, screw it, let's just have fun with this thing. And I love that it has that feeling.
I mean, it really does have that feeling of something like Smash Bros. Because all of these series that would normally never interact with each other are all just bundled up into this one game. And all the characters have unique interactions with each other, unique dialogue, and it's just so cool. And it even has the Ruby characters, which I don't believe they have their own fighting game. I believe this is like the only fighting game where you can play as a Ruby character. So yeah, got a lot of things going for it.
Like, because you finish up, we've done the BlazBlue thing, and Kane is a huge Ruby fan, so you're like, yeah, let's check it out. And I think that's awesome that you were able to just suck him in because of it.
What's even funnier is because Kane was already playing this game originally, before we even went on the fighting game journey.
Yeah.
That being said, this was during the era of Kane running up and DPing every single time. That was all he really knew. So it was actually kind of effective in this game, not gonna lie. And the two characters that Kane was playing, apparently, I believe during the release of BB Tag, had this bug with them where both characters would be invincible whenever you're doing a DP. And people would abuse the heck out of that. Kane didn't know that. He was just doing it because he enjoyed the two characters together. But yeah. That's why Kay was like, yeah, this is the strategy. I won plenty of ranked matches with this. I'm like, okay, bro. We're going to have to sit down and talk.
Number 37.
Yeah.
King of Fighters 14.
Makes sense.
I love
Thorgi
King of Fighters. You all know that. I spent a whole year doing a massive retrospective on. Hell, that's one of the things that made this channel blow up in the first place. And as I mentioned in that retrospective, this was the first KOF game that I ever played, and I fell in love instantly. I was feeling kind of out of it when that game released because I had spent an entire year looking forward to Street Fighter V, and then Street Fighter V turned out to be Street Fighter V.
Yeah.
Okay, confession. I actually think the final version of that game is really good, and even almost made this list.
needed more time to
yeah, at
cook.
release, it was super disappointing. But then KOF 14 came around, and it scratched that fighting game itch hard. It was exactly what I needed. The combat was really solid classic 2D fighter action. The roster was amazing with so many brand new characters. This wasn't just the game that made me fall in love with KOF, it made me fall in love with the characters, and that's the best thing about KOF. Every new fighter I saw made me want to know more about them. So for making me the KOF fan that I am today, I have to give KOF 14 respect. But not as much respect as number 36, King of Fighters
15? Yeah.
15. Yes, I know it's weird that these two are right next to each other, but in all fairness, yeah, KOF 15 is just a better version of KOF 14.
Yeah.
Combat feels smoother, combos
Very
are
much
easier
so.
to pull off, the changes to the EX moves and the max mode is way better. The graphics are a
my
huge
stream has
step
gone
up.
completely robot-y and I can't see anything, but
No.
you still sound normal to me.
No! I'll reset the
What's
stream.
happening?
Apologies for that. Technical difficulties. It's what happens when you record a video with somebody living on the exact opposite side of the world from you.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Well, just let me know if it happens again.
Post-launch content was great with the bonus bosses that they add to the game for free. This game did so much right. The only thing KOF 14 did that was better than this was the roster, but that's only because it was larger. That being said, this roster is still good. People talk about this game's roster like it's a disappointment. Dude, this is still the third largest non-Dream Match roster in this entire series. And it brings back several old classic favorites while making some interesting new characters. This roster is still really damn solid. Number 35, the Dragon Ball Budokai series. Another one where I'm throwing multiple games together, and I'm throwing
I've had a lot of Dragon Ball friends, like Dragon Ball friends. A lot of friends who were really into Dragon Ball.
Okay.
And I know that a lot of them have loved this series.
From my understanding, it's a 3D arena fighter where all the characters are doing Dragon Ball stuff, so you're doing a lot of like dashing through the air and just flying around and punching people super hard.
Yeah.
I guess it's just really cool for anybody who's a fan of Dragon Ball. Now, we may be called the legit Weebs, but out of the three main people of the group, I don't think any of us have actually watched Dragon Ball, yeah?
I watched the original Dragon Ball for quite a while, but I didn't finish it.
Okay.
And then I've seen bits and pieces of Kai that my brother watched growing up.
So you probably see the most out of us, yeah. I barely seen any
Probably.
Dragon Ball. I've only seen like some of the memes, especially the meme of "Don't shoot, he's not black." Which, okay, I know the context for that. I understand it, but regardless, it's very hilarious.
Unfortunate.
Yeah, unfortunate naming sense.
Not in here because I'm just lumping the entire Budokai franchise together. And just like with the real bout games, it's not because they all play the same, and it's not because they're all of a similar quality, it's because when I think about the Budokai series, it all kind of lumps together in my mind, and that's for a few reasons. The first being that I was a huge Dragon Ball fan when I was a kid, and I wanted a fighting game that really felt like I was in the show. And when this game came out and you were flying around the stage with big cinematic supers straight out of the series,
I could see if you're a big Dragon Ball fan, how this
had
would just be like very kind of wish fulfillment-y, and just you get to be the characters and have it feel like you're the characters.
That's, I would assume that's like one of the main appeals of Dragon Ball's series too, is obviously the combat, right? So I suppose putting it in a fighting game format is just, it's so natural. It just works. It fits. This is what people want to see more of.
I assume it's probably for a lot of the same reasons that I enjoy Burning Blood so much. It's very true to One Piece, so I like seeing the characters and how they're adapted into it. I feel like it's the same for Dragon Ball fans, probably.
Probably.
Every single future installment, it just felt like I was getting more of what I wanted. It felt like with each new game, we were getting one step closer to controlling an episode of Dragon Ball, and they each impressed me all over again. But the big reason why I'm lumping all these games together is because of my memories with this series. When I got to college, I didn't know anybody, and yeah, I'll admit, I was freaked out about living in a place far away from home for the first time, surrounded by total strangers. And then somebody
Everybody
in my
is.
dorm saw that I had a copy of Dragon Ball Budokai. And we
Then they're like, we're now best friends forever. Friendship, can start from the simplest of things, especially for dudes.
True. I mean, we all met through Tower of God, so.
Actually, very true. We all really enjoyed the same webtoon. We all watched the same YouTuber. It just worked out somehow.
more people joined us, and more. And for like 4 straight years, I had a group of friends who just loved to play the Budokai series. And when a new game came out, we all got together and we played that one. So that's why I'm lumping them all together, because for several years, whatever Budokai game was out, me and my friends were playing it. Just one long string of Dragon Ball games back to back. A lot of games have been on this list for nostalgia value, but this is the biggest. In fact, when I was putting this list together, this game was like a wall. Anytime that I thought, oh, this game is great, this game is going to be high on the list, I looked at the Budokai series sitting right here, and I said, well, as good as this game is it better than the nostalgia I have for Budokai? Number 34, Rumbleverse. This is another one of those entries that I know people are going to argue doesn't count as a fighting game, and to that I say, dude, did you even play Rumbleverse? I mean, it died in less than a year, so you probably didn't. The long answer short, while it might not be set up as a traditional fighting game, the actual combat itself relies heavily on classic fighting game mechanics. When you actually get into one-on-one combat with another player, yeah, it becomes obvious this game was made by Iron Galaxy, a studio that is all about fighting games. They were clearly trying to find a way to bring fighting games into this brand new genre. And honestly, I think they nailed it. At least...
So what is this? Is this like Fortnite, but a fighting game?
Fighting game? Battle Royale?
Battle Royale, yeah?
I don't know.
That sounds like a fun idea. I never heard of this game nor played it, but
I feel like this must have come out in the era of like Fall Guys, Gang Beasts, where all those like party games were popular.
Yeah, it certainly gives out that feeling. Very likely. The whole like battle royale boom too, where there was just a ton of battle royale games coming out of very varying genres.
I felt that way eventually, because when I first tried this game, I wasn't into it. I don't play battle royales, it's just not a genre I'm into, and yeah, that kept me from really getting into it. But when it was announced that this game was going to be shut down, I jumped back in for one last time just to give it another shot. And then I got addicted to it, and I spent the last 2 weeks of the game playing it nonstop. The gameplay, while simple at first, has so much variety. The mobility is incredible. Seriously, this game feels better to move in than almost any other game on this list. And the sense of humor in here is just infectious. Yes, I know, you look at these character designs and you think, really? You thought this was funny? They look like characters that get clowned on in an Animaniacs cartoon. Yeah, they do. And that's exactly what this game is. It feels like you're playing a Warner Brothers cartoon. And after a while, I finally started to understand what they were going for, and I loved it. It actually upsets me thinking about how there's just no way to play this game anymore. If I could give any one game on this entire list one more update, one more installment, one more season, well, it wouldn't be this one, but it would.
I see. Well, this is why we need to stop killing games.
Yeah, this is a perfect example of where I think video game lost media is a tragedy.
Now, like, Thorgi's talking about this, but none of us will ever be able to experience it ever again because it's a live service game that got shut down. It's just tragic, and this shouldn't happen. Like, the developers who spend so much time working on this project, they can't even show it to anybody anymore. The thing that they poured so much work into.
Would still be in the top 5. Number 33, Tekken Tag Tournament 2. Listen, I like Tekken,
enjoy it.
So why not have all the Tekken? This was the game when Tekken got the everyone is here treatment, and it was glorious. There is so much game in this video game. Every single character, including the alternate skin characters, the joke characters, they're all in here. And there's so many incredible stages, so much good music in here. It doesn't have a lot of unlockable or secret content like other Tekken games, I will admit that. But for the first time ever, I don't really care because everything else in this game is a massive 3-course meal. And as for the combat, listen, out of all the games here at the top of this list, this is the one that I am the worst at. This was still before I started trying to learn Tekken, and
Okay, is it me or is the background for that stage just shifting a little weirdly?
100% sliding. I was just gonna say that with the 3D like rotations, the characters are sliding to keep them in the background.
I mean, hey, if it works, it works. I won't knock it. Just have to acknowledge.
We both noticed it, so maybe it didn't work as well as I hoped it would.
Well,
but...
maybe. But maybe you get used to it. It just like stood out to me immediately from all the 2D fighters that we've been watching.
This game has a ton of tag mechanics that take a lot of really precise timing to pull off that I did not possess back in the day, and I probably still don't today. However, remember how I said that Tekken always used to be my go-to button masher? That game that I love to just pick up and hit buttons and see cool stuff happen because the combat in Tekken always felt so good? Well, you give me a roster of this many characters that looked this good and everyone felt so cool to play, and I didn't care if I didn't know what I was doing back then. I love just going through this entire roster and checking everyone out. Listen, I like Tekken. And this was the game that said, well, then how about you have all the Tekken you could ever ask for? Number 32, Bloody Roar Primal Fury. Already talked about why I love the Bloody Roar franchise, don't need to go over it again, but Primal Fury, this game right here, this is the best in the series. The gameplay feels so much smoother. It is so much simpler to figure stuff out in here. I always had a problem with the auto-blocking in these games, and in this one, the increased speed made it so much easier to deal with that. The stages are hands down the best looking in this entire series. Like, as much as I enjoyed the first 2 Bloody Roars, I barely remember those stages, but these ones are permanently engraved in my mind. Also, easily the best soundtrack in the whole series. The Freeway stage is one of my favorite tracks from any fighting game. It's also the only Bloody Roar to actually have good English dubbing, something that I greatly appreciated when I was going back through that series for the retrospective. And it even includes all the crazy bonus mods from the earlier games. If there is one Bloody Roar that needs a re-release, one that deserves to get eyes on it again so that way people can once again play it, it is hands down this one, and it's not even close. Number 31.
Awesome. Hey, Arena Ultimates?
Arena Ultimates.
Yeah.
I mean, I had fun with this one as a kid, despite knowing nothing about how to play fighting games.
Persona 4 Arena Ultimax. This game had the big high-flying, quick action that I love from Arc System Works games, the same gorgeous sprite work that I would expect from that company, but let's be real, this game got up this high because I freaking love Persona. Yeah, I got into this franchise.
Yeah,
okay.
Of course.
Now, this is something that I didn't know originally about Thorgi, because, I mean, we watch him for his fighting game retrospectives. But yeah, Thorgi's massive Persona fan too, apparently.
I mean, hard not to like Persona.
There's a lot of heart to Persona. I could certainly see a particular type of people who wouldn't be into it, but I think there's just a lot of really good stuff, really good things with Persona that most people can enjoy.
If you like narrative RPGs, you'll love Persona.
Loved it, and 4 and 5 just got better for me. This is my favorite RPG series. So seeing one of my favorite fighting game developers tackle one of my favorite video game franchises ever was a dream come true.
Yeah.
And it boggles my mind thinking about how they actually took the countless weird mechanics of the Persona series and found a way to interpret them into a fighting game.
Holy
I mean, hell, this is a game where...
Actually, you know, seeing 2 Velvet Room attendants fighting each other, wow. I didn't never imagine it would happen.
From the mere premise alone, you're going to be forced to turn...
Also, the titles for the characters are hilarious. I just noticed them. The Lethal Elevator Attendant and what is
all
this
of your
one?
characters into semi-puppet fighters. And
The Sadistic Stud-Keeping Secretary.
This one was funny for me because I knew Persona 4 at the time. I did not know Persona 3, so these were brand new characters to me, like all the Persona 3 characters. This was my first experience with all of them. And it's actually still my only experience with all of them because I have not played Persona 3 yet.
Damn.
I need to.
Yeah, I wouldn't recommend it. So far from what I played, honestly, really good. Reload has been so much fun.
yet, they found a way to make it work. which just goes to show the brilliant mad scientists that are working at Arc Systems. Plus, I love when an RPG is willing to show us what happened next, what happened to the characters after we were done with their big story. So the fact that all the Persona 3 characters returned and we got to see what they've been up to in the years since their game, that just put the biggest smile on my face. Now, for the love of all that is good, please just give us Persona 5 Arena. I'm getting really tired of waiting. Number 30, Street Fighter Alpha 3. First things first, this roster is amazing. For a fighting game in the 90s to have over 30 characters was nothing short of a miracle. Sure, it's almost entirely thanks to the reused assets, but I don't care. It's still stunning seeing an old sprite-based fighter with this many characters. And that was just the original release. You get into the handheld versions and this thing gets even bigger. And the arcade mode is the best arcade mode Street Fighter has ever done. Hell, it's one of the best arcade modes ever. The way they made every character's ladder feel unique to them, the way they worked the story into multiple fights all throughout it, you're going to see several other games on this list that do something similar, and I'm going to applaud that every single time that it comes up. But this was the first time that I remember seeing a fighting game do an arcade ladder like this, and it forever changed how I felt about arcade ladders. And the announcer is just pure hype. This dude goes all in. Easily one of the best announcers from a 90s fighting game. And I've always said that the greatest thing that a fighting game can do is give you...
But is it as good as Maximum Impact? I don't know.
Maximum Impact.
Options. Expression is important in a fighting game. You need to give the player the ability to play in a way that speaks to them. And this game literally gives you options. It gives you multiple ways to play each character with the groove system. It is hard to believe that this one game did so much right. Number 29, Tekken 8. I know everybody has spent the last year complaining about the current state of Tekken 8, and yeah, I get it, the game currently has problems. But that first year? God damn, that is probably the most addicted I have gotten to a Tekken in a long time. The swing towards more aggressive combat was very welcome. For me, Tekken has always been a franchise about big hits and big impact. The number one thing I think of when I picture Tekken is every hit feeling like a shotgun going off as you send a character flipping into the air and then you start air juggling them till they don't come down. And this game was all about that. And I mentioned Tekken 7 was the first Tekken that I tried to learn. Well, this was the first Tekken where I tried to do more than just learn it. For months, I was hopping online and loving that feeling of going head-to-head with other players. Mostly because this game actually had good online, something we thought was impossible for Tekken. And the story mode, easily the best story mode in any fighting game. The conclusion between Jin and Kazuya,
we're gonna have to get into the Tekken story at some point,
was incredible. They used the actual combat of the game to show the growth in Jin's character, something that way more fighting game story mode should do. And there at the very end, it felt like an amazing finale to this 3-decade-long storyline. Unfortunately, it wasn't the end because a year later we got DLC that revealed that Heihachi was still alive, but screw it, it's going to be a long time before I have to think about that, so for now, I'm calling it the finale. Number 28, BlazBlue Chrono Phantasma. It was real hard not to merge Chrono Phantasma and Central Fiction together because, as I said, each installment of BlazBlue feels like an updated version of the last one. But in addition to each game having unique mechanics and new characters, they also each had unique story modes, arcade modes, and single-player content, so I couldn't help but divide them up. And when I was going through the BlazBlue retrospective, I remember playing the first 2 games and saying, hey, this is pretty fun, it's not bad. But the moment that I got to Chrono Phantasma, that was the moment everything froze, the camera pulled out, and I just said, oh crap, I get it now. I get why everyone loves this series. The leap in gameplay from the first game to the second game was good, but the leap from the second to the third was gigantic. This was now reaching a point of greatness. It feels like this was the game where they finally realized how to make BlazBlue something special. And just like with Continuum Ship, still dug the story and the single player stuff. Yeah, I don't think the roguelike mode was as good as it was in the last one, but it's still alright. And the gag endings in the story mode were still just perfect. That is one of my favorite things about this series, and they are so good in this installment. And speaking of that, I also wanted to shout out this game because BlazBlue had easily the best English dub cast in a fighting game at that time. and is still a competitor for that title today. And sadly, this was the last game in the mainline series where that cast would return. So I had to make sure to stop and mention just how much I appreciate each of these actors. They're one of the big reasons I actually came to love each of these characters. Number 27.
Street Fighter 4, son! Street Fighter 4!
What is happening?
Street Fighter 4! Say! Street Fighter 4! Street Fighter 4! Street Fighter 4!
Okay.
Street Fighter 4.
They love Street Fighter 4.
Again, just showing every version of Street Fighter 4 in here, but real talk, it's largely in here for the original version. Yes, as I said in our Street Fighter retrospective, when I returned to that game, it did not play as well as I remember. I have spent years hearing people say that the original version of Street Fighter 4 is practically unplayable, and going back to it today, yeah, I can kind of understand what they're saying. However, that being said, if you don't want to learn to do anything super complicated, then the game does have a really great floor to it. It feels pretty good for someone who just wants to do the basic combos, and back in 2009, yep, that was me. I just wanted to do the easy 3-hit combos with my characters, and it felt just right for that.
Yeah, that is something I've heard about Street Fighter, where they've tended more towards the basics, or I suppose the fundamentals of what a 2D fighter is, and having a simpler, like, rock, paper, scissors sort of combat to it, as opposed to some of the anime fighters that we're used to, that go all out with the air dashing and going nuts. Here, it's really just, how good is your neutral? And can you play footsies right? Which, you know... It can be appealing to some. We still have to try it out someday in order to really gauge how we feel about it.
But that's not why the game is up here. No, not even close. Why it's up here is because it cannot be overstated how important this game was for bringing back not just Street Fighter, but 2D fighters in general.
Yeah.
As someone who grew up on 2D fighters, this whole genre had plummeted in the 2000s, and it was becoming harder and harder for me to find a place in my tiny little town to actually play fighting games. Then Street Fighter 4 hit the scene, and it exploded. New titles were popping up left and right. Suddenly my local game stores were holding tournaments and weeklies. For the style of fighting games that I loved, this was a resurgence moment, and even if returning to it now isn't as fun as I had hoped it'd be, those memories are never going away. Number 26.
Ooh! Can't wait, man. This game looks so damn good. Has amazing music too. I love listening to some of the OST here.
I love the art
The
style,
Under Night
yeah.
In-Birth series. I'm including every version of Under Night in this spot because I think even the most diehard Under Night fans will tell you each version of Under Night is pretty much just an update.
This is one that's always kind of like, every time I see it, I'm attracted to it. But then I never really knew what it was, so it kind of just passed on. And I'm like, well, whatever that was, it looked cool.
Many people have told me that I believe Thorgi says in this video, maybe he's about to say it here, that he's working on a retrospective for Under Night In-Birth. So,
Ooh, okay.
I don't really know a lot about the series myself. I just know it looks so goddamn good, and I want to play it badly. So, I'm very much looking forward to that whenever that retrospective drops.
The existing game, but hey, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, just update it. So one of my favorite things from back in the arcade era was how I could just walk into one and I would see something there that I had never even heard about, and it would become a brand new obsession of mine. And Under Night is probably the last game I got that feeling from.
Oh, I don't recall if I sent this to you, but the latest DLC character they released for Under Night In-Birth, or Uni 2, was a girl who controlled a floating fish. So, I mean, the moment I saw that character, I was like, wait a minute. I know somebody who maybe would enjoy this theme for this character.
I do enjoy fish.
I went to a bar several years ago and they were having a video game night, and I was playing a lot of my old favorites there. But then suddenly up on the screen over the bar, this game came on. And nobody there knew what it was. Nobody knew who was playing it, what console it was on, and so I went years thinking about this mystery game that just appeared at this bar one night. It became like my very geeky version of Cinderella. I just kept going around looking at screenshots of random fighting games going, no, that wasn't it. That wasn't right
That's not the right fit.
No, it's got to be out there somewhere. But after years, I finally found out what it was, and I'm so glad that I did because this game became an instant favorite. This is another one of those games where the second I put my hands on, I fell in love. The combos felt so smooth. The fact that every single button could combo into every single other button made each character so easy to...
Yeah, okay. That I believe is a unique system to Under Night In-Birth. So, to give a very rough overview of what Thorgi is talking about here, in most 2D fighters, when you do a combo, you can usually Gatling from, like, say, a light punch into a heavy punch, but you cannot do a heavy punch into a light punch. You always have to work from weakest to strongest. However, when it comes to Under Night In-Birth, they specifically have it so that there isn't that sort of limitation. So it creates some very unique combos that you can do.
To start, and yet the ceiling on this game is insanely high. The sprite work is the best in any game out there right now.
It looks incredible.
Granted, nobody's really doing sprite work anymore, but even if they were, this would still be really good. The soundtrack is top tier. Every single song has this infectious speed to it that just makes you start bobbing your head and you can't stop. I say this with no hint of exaggeration.
I haven't heard any of it, but I can imagine it just based on the vibe and the style of it.
I mean, what we're listening to in the background, I believe, is a track from Uni.
That would make sense.
I think that Under Night In-Birth has the most underrated soundtrack in all of fighting games. It doesn't have the best soundtrack, but it definitely has the most underrated soundtrack because nobody talks about how good these songs are, but I guarantee you, you've all heard them somewhere and you all thought they were cool. In fact, I know there is some editor out there who does work for really big YouTubers who is a massive fan of Under Night, and I know this because there have been so many YouTube videos I have seen that have nothing to do with Under Night
just
or
Under
fighting
Night
games in general,
soundtrack,
but they always put Under Night music in the background, and every time that I hear that, I just go, yeah, it fits. Under Night music goes with everything. I could keep going on and on about what I love about Under Night, but A, we already have an Under Night retrospective coming up soon, so I don't want to spoil too much for you guys. And B, all I really need to say is every nice thing that I have said about a French bread game on this entire list can just be rolled up into this one installment. Every
this
good
is the
thing
same
that
studio
French
that
bread...
did the other ones.
Yes, French bread.
Gotcha.
I guess they have their style here, where they really enjoy working with these like anime 2D sprite fighters. Yeah.
It's very good though.
Does is at full display in Under Night In-Birth. Number 25, X-Men versus Street Fighter. You all know by now I'm a big Marvel fan and I'm a big Street Fighter fan. You slap those two things together and I'm a happy boy. But this is where all that began. I mentioned not that long ago that one of the things that I loved about the arcade era was that feeling of walking into the arcade and seeing a fighting game that you never knew existed. And this is the best example of that ever. Because I didn't see anything about this game in any magazines. YouTube and social media weren't a thing back then. I had zero warning on this. Just one day, this little kid who always wanted to see Marvel crossover with Street Fighter walked into the arcade, and suddenly this game was there. I cannot describe to you the shock that I felt in that moment of seeing the exact thing that I always dreamed of right there physically in front of me. Dude,
we talked about this before, but the whole rise of like social media and the internet has sort of taken away this type of surprise of going to your local arcade one day and seeing the exact thing that you wanted. A bit of a shame for some other trade-offs, but it certainly seems like a unique experience that, unfortunately, we'll probably never get to experience again.
Experience has changed to an extent, because I would say, like, a similar modern equivalent would probably be us seeing Token when it got announced.
Oh, yeah, Token, yeah. 100%. Did not know that was coming.
Yeah, it is... surprises are harder to come by in this time. This era, I guess.
Yeah.
But when they do come, they hit hard.
Especially with all the people who just leak all this stuff all the time. Like, I don't even follow any of that, and yet they still end up on my timeline.
Leakers. Yeah. No, I don't follow any of that shit.
To this day, I'm not even entirely sure that this game actually exists. I'm pretty sure that I imagined it, and I've just been gaslighting myself for 2 decades now. And it kept the overpowered gameplay of the Marvel games, but now the Street Fighter characters were buffed up to match. Seeing Ryu shoot out a full-on laser beam across the stage, or Ken doing a spiraling dragon punch that soared up to the heavens, was like seeing my favorite characters going Super Saiyan before I even knew what Super Saiyans were. It is hard to sum up for you how obsessed I was with this game. This was a crossover unlike anything I had ever seen. I mean, hell, everyone makes jokes about how epic that handshake is, but I'm telling you right now, back in the day, that wasn't a joke. That was history in the making. Number 24, Street Fighter Alpha 2. This is the final Street Fighter Alpha game on this list, and it was not easy picking this one as the best. I went back and forth between Alpha 2 and 3 so many times. Alpha 3 has the better arcade modes and the groove system that I really enjoyed and the bigger roster, but I can't lie, I think the combat in 2 is better. I love the custom combos in here way more than 3. The stages are so damn good. Seriously, some of the best stages in all of Street Fighter. That Ken stage alone gets it some major points.
Oh,
I love this.
That's a Darkstalkers character in the pool. I guess we have some like Capcom references here in the background.
Secret rival fights that they put in here. Another thing that I feel like all fighting games
there's
should
Morgan
include.
on the left there.
If you care about the characters in the lore of Street Fighter, this entry did major heavy lifting for fleshing these characters out. Before this game, so many of the Street Fighter characters were just guy who punches thing, or big wrestler guy, or that lady who kicks a lot. She lost her dad and she's sad about, but that's pretty much all that you know about her. Alpha 1 did a little bit to flesh these characters out, but in Alpha 2, that's when these characters really became who we know and love. In fact, speaking of that, listen, the new characters that got added to Alpha 3 were good, but this was the game that made Akuma and Dan more established characters instead of just being secret characters. And it's the game that introduced Sakura, one of my favorite fighting game characters ever. Like I said, it was a tough call between Alpha 2 and Alpha 3, but this game just barely squeaked ahead. Number 23, Mortal Kombat X.
Mortal Kombat.
Been a lot of Mortal Kombats on this list, but this is the top. And the weird thing is, there's so many things about this game that I don't like. The story mode this time is very meh, easily my least favorite of this era of MK games. The new characters were all kind of meh. I didn't hate the combat kids like some people did, but
when this game came out, there's the same friend who was like super into Dragon Ball 2. She was a huge Mortal Kombat fan, and when this game came out, she was like, you could see just so conflicted on it for a long time.
Interesting.
Because she loved Mortal Kombat and had a lot of things that she liked about Mortal Kombat, but there was a lot that she hated about it.
Do you remember any specifics about it?
I don't, unfortunately. My memory is not good enough. I just remember she was someone who could go and like rant on something for like a long time on it, so I heard her rant about Mortal Kombat a lot.
Gotcha.
Same, she would rant about Resident Evil 7 too when that one came out, because she was a big Resident Evil fan.
I don't really care about them either. But even the characters that everyone else liked, like Kotal Khan and Devora, just didn't do it for me. Hell, I don't even remember the name of the cowboy guy, and everyone loved the cowboy guy. And the art style is the worst in the entire series outside of the first Mortal Kombat. This is a franchise that always had big bombastic colors, and now everything was going for realism and grays and muddy browns. It's the worst of that PS3, Xbox 360 era aesthetics. Except that it didn't even come out in that era. It came out on the next generation of consoles, so it already felt outdated from the start.
Rip.
So then why?
Then why is it here?
Why is it this high on the list? That is 100% because of the combat. My god, this is easily the best combat in all of Mortal Kombat.
Okay, then I have to imagine your friend was struggling with, this game isn't Mortal Kombat, but damn does it feel good to play. I have to imagine, yeah.
In fact, you might have noticed, I've said a lot about the other Mortal Kombat games on here, but I haven't said a ton about the actual gameplay. I've mentioned it, but I've not gone into a lot of details. Yeah, I like the way that Mortal Kombat plays, but it was never my favorite. It wasn't the big thing that brought me to the game. But in here, it's far more aggressive, like UMK3, which did have my favorite combat of the earlier.
Hey, not gonna lie, I think this stage is actually kind of cool. You even see like two people in the background finding out a different bridge, so that's pretty neat.
games. It all feels faster, and I don't just mean the mobility of your characters. It feels like the input timing is shorter, letting me react on the fly to what's happening. And the run cancels? Oh my god. I know that everyone has already said this to death, and if you're a big Mortal Kombat fan, you're probably sick of hearing it. But I love the run cancels. It is shocking to me they do not just keep bringing this back. It made learning combos so fun. This is the only Mortal Kombat where I actually wanted to go into the lab and try and figure stuff out. And the brutalities were a brilliant addition to the game. Because yeah, it's fun to end a match with a fatality.
Oh yeah, this was the game
but
of
after
Predator
a while,
and Alien,
you just think, okay, yeah, I've already seen this thing. Can we just move this along already? You're dragging things out. Boom, brutalities were the perfect answer to that. All the violence, none of the waiting. And the character variations? Damn, this spoiled me. Other fighting games were ruined for me after this because why is this not just a thing in all Mortal Kombat games?
So you're telling me that each character has like 3 different ways to play them? That's pretty awesome.
Interesting.
I said I love fighting games where the players can express themselves and play the characters in the way that speaks to them. That is exactly what this is. Giving each character 3 different ways to play them is genius. And then we come to the DLC.
So much work,
Listen, I know by now everyone is sick of the guest characters in Mortal Kombat, especially guest characters from 40-year-old movies. I understand, but these were the perfect guest characters. Jason Voorhees, Predator, Alien, not so much Leatherface, he's fine I guess. But those other 3 were born to be Mortal Kombat characters, and this game did an amazing job bringing them to life. And as a big horror movie fan, you know I lost my mind at that. We put Terrordrome on this list because even a fan game that brought all these characters together was enough to get me.
Is Predator from a horror movie, or would you call it an action movie? I haven't seen it.
Predator. I would say it's more action, but there are some pretty horrific moments in there, so you could qualify it as a scary movie.
Because in my head, I've always kind of set more Predator as like the action side of like Alien v Predator. Because that's what I've always like. Alien was like the horror, and then it kind of went more actiony. But then Predator, like when you went Alien versus Predator, kind of made Alien more actiony in that. I don't know. Again, I haven't seen it, so
I would say
the Alien movies.
well, when it comes to the Predator movies, I'd assume most people think of, if not the Predator, that Arnold Schwarzenegger. That was kind of the iconic look for Arnold. And if there was a comparison, it's definitely more Aliens than it is Alien. So yeah, it falls more so into that category of like action horror. It's like Resident Evil 4, basically, compared to Resident Evil 7.
Okay.
It's definitely more Resident Evil 4 like.
Excited. Seeing it happen in an officially licensed big budget AAA fighting game, I still cannot believe that we got lucky enough to see that happen. Number 22.
I think Thorgi has a retrospective on this, actually. Some people have been asking for this one. We'll check it out someday.
I don't recognize this too.
It's our school. We must protect it.
Japanese high school gang wars.
Perfect fighting game. Easy.
Franchise we ever covered on our fighting game retrospective. It's the entire reason that show exists. And I covered it because I just love this series so much that I had to invent a reason for me to talk about it. There are a lot of franchises on this list I love, none so much that they launched an entire show. The gameplay was so unique. It was a 3D fighter, but it was still fast with high-flying jumps and air combos like something you'd expect out of an anime fighter. The characters were so insanely memorable. These designs are incredible and their personalities are big and bombastic. It introduced us to Akira Kazama, who's easily one of my top 5 favorite fighting game characters ever. And as I said in that retrospective, when I was a kid, I dreamed of a fighting game starring other kids. Something set in a school, the place that I was most familiar with, and would use all these locations and themes and...
Did you see that shit? She set her like a volleyball, and smacked her to the other guy's baseball swing. Team up technique finish. That was awesome. I need to see that again.
I was most familiar with, and would use all these locations and themes and all the types of people that you would meet in a school, but give them the big crazy fighting game makeover. And then Capcom showed up and said, "Hey, here's literally the exact thing that you always wanted." Between this and X-Men vs. Street Fighter, this really was the time period where Capcom was just reading my mind and making games based off that. Number 21, Power Stone. What else can I say about Power Stone other than the fact that it's the game that got me to buy a Dreamcast? No, seriously, I had no idea what a Dreamcast was until I walked into a store, they were taking pre-orders for them, and the game they were showing off was Power Stone. And I had never seen anything like this. The graphics were amazing, it was so bright and colorful, and then I got to actually play it, and it was this completely unique experience. An arena fighter where you could jump off walls, do flying, homing dive kicks, pick up dozens of different weapons and props, and the movement was incredible. It felt so good jumping all over the place. And then, of course, there were the Power Stones themselves that let you take these really fun Saturday morning cartoon-looking characters and have them go through a magical transformation that lets you just dominate the entire screen. This game was just flat out fun. You keep hearing people talk about the competitive crowds and the casual audiences, but this really felt like one of those games that everyone could just come together and enjoy on the same level. It was the pure embodiment of a good time. Number 20, Tekken 3. Listen, I grew up in the 90s. You couldn't have grown up in the 90s and not have been a fan of Tekken 3. They sent you a copy of it in the mail alongside your free trial AOL.
Everywhere.
You wanna know how popular Tekken 3 was back in the day? I grew up out in the woods, far away from civilization. My road wasn't even on the maps. That's how far away I was from anything. The closest thing to me was a rundown gas station 2 miles away. And you know what this rinky-dink non-chain gas station in the middle of nowhere had?
Tekken 3?
A Tekken 3 arcade cabinet. When I say this game was everywhere, it was everywhere. And for good reason. The increased speed of the game made it so much more addictive. And movement just felt easier and more fluid in this game. There'd be moments where this game would almost feel like a dance between you and your opponent with how much you could maneuver around each other.
Yeah, I guess it was probably with Tekken 3, because from my understanding, like the early 3D fighters would usually go a similar route to Virtua Fighter, and whereas Virtua Fighter sort of stuck to that more slower, more realistic style of combat, I guess Tekken started to branch off into its more fantastical, more high-paced sort of 3D combat here.
Gotcha.
When Tekken became Tekken. This is when people looked at this franchise and realized how you were supposed to play it. And the music was a huge leap. Everyone was taking note of this soundtrack. And the home release had a mountain of bonus content long before most fighting games were doing that. At this point in time, the home release of a fighting game was just a worse version of what you got at the arcade. So for Tekken 3 to come in here and give you Tekken Ball and Tekken Force Mode, it was a game changer.
Cool.
And all the new characters were big hits. It is insane to see a title introduce so many new characters in one game, do a big time skip, and everyone loves it. Soul Calibur tried it, couldn't do it. Street Fighter tried it, people were cool with it eventually, but not at first. But Tekken 3's roster was a smash hit from the start. The moment this game hit the ground, everyone lost their minds. If you were a kid in 1999, Jin instantly became the coolest character you had ever seen. This game made me swap on a dime from, yeah, Tekken's alright, I think Tekken's pretty cool, to Tekken might be the best fighting game ever. Number 19.
Alright, that being said, this video is a bit shorter than the last one, but I think it's probably a good place to call it here since we have about another hour left of the video. And we're nearing the top choices now.
There's some fun ones in here.
Yeah, some really fun, unique ones. We definitely have to check out the rival schools one at some point. Those combo attacks were hilarious, not gonna lie. And also super looking forward to Thorgi's Under Night in Birth retrospective. That game looks amazing, the soundtrack is amazing. I want to know so much more about it. That was actually something I asked you guys about like much earlier into our fighting game journey. And apparently there were some videos about it, but no like definitive retrospective yet on it. So yeah,
gotcha.
Hopefully Thorgi's one can fulfill that need for us. We need to learn. We need to know more. But all right, dudes, that's gonna do it for me and Serpy today. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Hope you all enjoyed your time here. Hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. And Serpy and I will catch you guys in the next one. Later, dudes.
Bye bye.